Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you come to learn the most efficient and powerful ways to grow their firm, sharpen their sales skills, and have consistent increasing revenue. We cover topics from sales, networking, handling objections, negotiation, pricing, finding those ideal clients, and how to get rid of the ones that just don't suit you and how to set those boundaries so you can stop giving away your time, working for free, putting yourself on sale, and really start to get paid for the value and the worth that you bring to your clients. You'll learn tips, strategies, as well as hear others from personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly how to create the firm and life of your dreams full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today we have a very exciting episode where I did a training with Nate Hagerty on pricing and charging your worth and charging your value and what it all looks like and how to do it. So that is what we're going to dive right into today. And for those of you that are having a challenge with taking control of your pricing and doubling your firm revenue with ease, so you can finally feel confident to start charging those premium fees to your current clients and have them appreciate you for the value that you offer and get paid what you're worth, and be able to do this with confidence, without any fear and without any guilt or anxiety of where that next call or client will come from, then here's what I have in store for you as well. After you're done listening to this episode that I did with Nate and some other firm owners, my team and I have set aside some time to speak to some of you for the next 48 hours is what our availability will show, and how you can apply the ideas that you heard today on our conversation. How can you make a change and a transformational change versus just hearing information? So head on over to theabundantcall.com to book your call, and let's dive in right into the conversation with myself and Nate Hagerty.
All right, everybody, thank you for joining. I am so thankful to have Michelle Weinstein here with us. In fact, I do have a little, I said that I didn't really have any slides, but I did make a slide with your face.
Slide.
Yeah, pretty much a slide. So let me get that going. But Michelle and I have gotten to know each other over the last year or so. She presented at Dominique Molina's American Institute of Certified Tax Planners event, and my team was there, Christian and Troy. We kind of formed a friendship, started talking on the phone a bunch. I've been on her podcast a couple times, which, by the way, let me plug your podcast.
Yes.
The Abundant Accountant Podcast, yes, is the name, because you have a couple brands. But the podcast that everybody should listen to is the Abundant
Denise
Accountant.
Can pop the link in the chat and you guys can subscribe to it. But
yes,
it's all about how you can increase your firm revenue and what to do with the leads that you get from Nate, how to monetize, maximize everything in all your conversations. So we don't talk about anything technical, accounting or tax. It's all growth. Yes.
So that's what I want to talk about today, obviously. And I do want to send a little more sunshine your way before we get into the meat, though, if that's okay.
Yes.
Because what I've enjoyed about our conversations and your content is kind of your relentless focus on these sort of ancillary topics that aren't necessarily, again, the things that we cover here at TaxProMarketer and AdvisorProMarketer. They are some of the blocking and tackling, so to speak, of business related to sales conversations, related to pricing and positioning with your clients and with your prospect pool, whatever that looks like. And that's kind of your speciality, so to speak.
Yeah.
So so I don't mess it up, why don't you give people kind of a short bio and your story, how you kind of came into the industry. I know you've been around the industry for a long time, but sort of just tell your story so I don't mess it up.
Okay. Well, I mean, I basically out of college ended up in working in an accounting firm as an analyst, Moss Adams, and I started a company. So for about 8, 9 years, I actually had a company in the prepared meal space. Had to close it in March of 2017, and was like, what am I going to do? And I started helping Dominique Molina grow her business. And what I realized after having probably over 1,000 conversations with many accounting and tax professionals, I realized that the biggest challenge was how do you charge higher fees with confidence without losing any clients, especially the ones that have been with you 20, 30 years. That's the thing we see typically that you're terrified about. Why giving discounts is probably the worst strategy you could ever do, and doing some free work in hopes that someone will pay you a premium later. And how to stop, having your business control your life so you can actually go on vacations. Just like, I saw Nate go to Hawaii. We're actually there at the same time.
Yeah.
Have
we talked since then? We have.
Yeah, we talked when you got back.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. But we were on a different island?
No, same island, Maui.
I forgot that. Okay.
Yeah, Maui. Yeah.
All right.
So that's really, where I started the Abundant Accountant in 2018. So in 2018, I took a beta of 10 accounting and tax firm owners through my program. I said, let me just make sure, number one, I can sell all your services. I've sold tax plans of 60,000. I've sold one of 100,000 monthly services. So I can sell all your services. And I said, well, if I can do it, I want to make sure I can also teach you. And from there, we just grew the podcast and the whole business. And our mission is really to help firm owners. If you have a side hustle firm or if you own your own firm, how to double your firm revenue, charge premium fees without apologizing for it, never give a discount, and really be able to acquire and also retain your clients at much higher fees without feeling guilty about doing that and resenting any of the work that you do for them. So you can have a life and enjoy the work you do instead of being grumpy and irritated. And then we also like to make sure that you see a very high ROI on investing, like with Nate, and making sure that you have the best mousetrap in place from the time you get a lead.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why we want to have this conversation.
Yep.
Just like to be perfectly frank, this is not all of our clients, but there are a certain number of folks that, we have a meeting with them during or after tax season. We look at the data because, we're tracking like the phone calls, the form fills and all the things. And we're looking at for certain, Christian actually just was able to hop on. So he could probably tell even more of these stories, but we sometimes talk with our clients and, we've given them like 15 appointments in the last couple of weeks or what have you. And, they aren't actually doing much with them. And so, this is an area that we really need to continue to talk to our clients about, and also the entire industry. It's so important that people optimize the right leads and optimize their engagements so that like all the hard work that is done and the investment that people put into marketing of time and effort and energy actually bears fruit. So yes, you're like,
that's exactly
you're catnip in front of me, Michelle.
That's exactly why we're here. And that's the exact reason at the Abundant Accountant, Denise and I do not do anything on lead generation. We call that a marketing funnel. That's the marketing piece. And then you have the sales piece. Sales is about conversion. How are you converting the clients into premium clients, premium fees, where you have the price to value figured out.
Right.
That's the piece we do, because the price is what you pay and the value is what you get, like Warren Buffett says. So.
Yep. Amen. All right. Well, so because this is a small group and our clients, and I want to give them kind of some access, I just want to encourage everybody to raise your hand. I'm going to start asking Michelle some questions and have her tell some stories or what have you. But I really want you all to like use this opportunity that you have to pick her brain and to have a conversation, even about some thorny issues that you might be facing. Feel free to bring those. Now, just be aware, this is the recorded section. We will take some time towards the end to turn off the recording. And if there's things that you really want to like ask in a more confidential space, Michelle has very kindly agreed to like make herself available in that setting as well. But I do want to kind of, for the sake of the recording, have some kind of bare bones of content that we can go through, Michelle.
Yeah.
Some basic like pricing package things, some positioning things, and I'm going to let you sort of like guide the way, and I'll interrupt with snarky comments as I do.
Okay.
But why don't you just, to start, but again, before I move on, I just want, again, to be clear, put questions in the chat,
please.
Raise your hand, and even feel free to unmute if you think that like you want to ask a question real directly, but just be aware that like we do want to record this and kind of get some stuff out, but we're going to quickly move into clinic mode, as soon as we can. So Michelle.
Yes, I'm ready.
Like, kind of a, I don't know, ice-breaking question, so to speak. Like, what's like the biggest mistake that you see with people that you work directly with, like accounting and tax practitioners? Like what, and that's a big question, I know, but like give some of like the, like
you want to make it more specific, like about pricing?
Let's talk pricing.
Okay.
And that's where I was going, is like the biggest mistake about pricing that you see.
Okay. I'll list a few. Some of the biggest mistakes we see around pricing is they say, well, I look at what the other firm owners are doing in my area and I need to be competitive on price with them. So I call that doing market research, which is probably the worst idea you could ever do. Seeing what everyone else is charging or offering is a really horrible idea for you to stand out from the rest and charge premium fees. That's another one. Or maybe I've heard from some of our current students that they don't do any of this anymore, but they would say, okay, well, Michelle, I called 10 accounting and tax firms and I just took an average of everything that I asked them about their pricing. So another horrible thing is that firm owners are just telling prices like we're a menu at Starbucks. Okay, that shouldn't happen.
Well, and I want to just admit, for the sake of transparency, that's how I used to advise people like a decade ago.
A decade ago,
yeah. Well, charge by the form,
Yeah.
Like keep pushing those fees up, but the value pricing model was not something that I leaned into until I actually started doing a lot more work with Dominique as well, and kind of heard her concept on that. But let me shut up and you.
Yeah, no, it's still the default pattern that we see. I mean, I've been back and forth with a prospect just for fun at this point. And he's like, Michelle, I make $208 an hour. I've done an analysis. It took him 2 weeks to do this analysis. I'm like, well, if you think that's great, then I can't help you. There's nothing else that I can do. If you've got confidence and you're this and that, and like if that's the way you think about pricing and you're going to just stay stuck in those ways, Denise and I can't really support. But anyway, another thing that I've seen a lot of firm owners do to figure out their prices that they shouldn't do is go below the competitive amount. Right. So I was actually on the phone with a woman the other day. Well, Michelle, there's 8 other firms in my area, so I know all their prices. So I went about 25% below that. Okay.
As if
so
like
now you're like
the competitive advantage. I'm the cheap.
Yeah, that's the competitive advantage she took. No wonder she's having problems.
Yeah. That hurts my heart.
I know. It's real. It is sad. And
well, now to be clear, like, so let me just, again, is it okay that I'm kind of like, we're conversationalizing this?
I think that's great. And then like you said earlier, for anyone listening, and not on video, if you guys can type in the chat box your questions, I can look at them and speak to them, but Denise, my partner, is here and she can also respond and be active in the chat box with you.
Right.
Maybe in the chat box, you can put in there how you came up with your pricing. What was your method or tactic to figure out how you're going to price your different services and share that with us?
That would be useful. And by the way, hi, Christian.
Hey, guys.
Did you get some rest?
Hey, Christian.
A little bit. Yeah.
I explained what happened with Hudson.
Oh, man. Two babies. It's real. Yeah. But I'm doing good. But
he's on full daddy duty right now.
Disney Plus for the win right now, guys. You know it. Michelle, what you just brought up just prompted something that I hear really consistently from a certain group of clients or people we talk to, which is the startup. They're credentialed, they're professional, but they're in a different space and they're trying to start their own thing. And it's so common to feel from them, is what I'm kind of intuiting, to feel like, I don't see the value because I've been salaried and now I know I'm good at what I do. This is super common, but I've just got to come in and, penetration pricing, right? I've got to break into the market. I've got to find this level that gets me leads. Have you worked with any startups that from the jump didn't do that? And can you talk about what happened?
Yeah, I have. I just was pulling up one of my clients, Devin, and I'll just pop it in the chat box so you all can read it. Or I don't know. Denise, you might have to put in the chat box because for some reason my copy and paste on Zoom doesn't work. So Denise will pop that in the chat box because I'll just email it to her right now. But one gentleman comes to mind. His name is Devin White. He was in corporate, had a firm on the side, just starting out. He's actually the one that did a lot of the things I don't recommend and that most firm owners end up doing, where their value proposition is I'm going to do more for less. And then they can barely stay above water. He couldn't quit his corporate job. And right now it's tax season and he missed this last class this week with us because he took a week off. And most of the clients we work with end up taking a week off for vacation. And this is just the normal thing of what we see because most people that we meet who are on salary are working 60 to 80 hours a week on salary.
Right.
Exactly. So that same mindset goes into doing the firm. Well, if I work 80 hours a week and just charge this, that's the norm. Where basically you are working for free for X amount of hours per week and donating your time. So do you want to be in the nonprofit space or are you looking to grow a firm with profitability, a lot of revenue so you can have a work-life balance? Most people are trying to leave corporate or get out of their corporate job because they're sick and tired of grinding out 14-hour days. Then they start a firm, they meet us, and they feel like they have shackles attached to their ankles, like they just created this same job they were in before in corporate for themselves in their firm. And it's a vicious cycle. We have some newer students who are in this vicious cycle right now. We had another woman, she never raised her fees. She bought 2 or 3 firms when she first started, absolutely terrified to go through our process, thought I was absolutely bonkers. She went through the process and she now has 40% less volume with increased revenue this season. And she still feels a little overwhelmed. I'm like, well, we could have even been a little bit more aggressive because sometimes newer startups are also looking to acquire some firm with business already, or you just work with you guys and Nate and get new leads and start from scratch, which is the smart way to do it. And so that's what
there's lots of ways to skin the cat. Like I appreciate
there is
I appreciate that, for real, and I receive it, and I completely agree. But I also don't want and you're talking to clients. I just don't want I don't want to downplay. Sometimes another path is just the guerrilla marketing and the networking to get the momentum and some revenue. But especially you have to have the pricing right.
So the gentleman I just talked about, he just was a startup because the question was about a startup. So February 2021, His revenue was $2,182. His revenue for the month in 2022, February, last month, was $24,280. So he had a $22,000 increase in just 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And his March, because this was like the first week in March, March 6th to 11th or 12th, which is 1 week of revenue, was 11,000 this year, where last year it was 1,000. And he just quit. He just quit his corporate job just a couple months ago, and he thought he was going to quit this summer.
So wow. Beth brought up a really good question that I think I'd like to talk about some. And I don't know if you see it in the chat right before Denise posted. How
do you recommend bringing legacy low bill clients up to the new client pricing without damaging long loyal? Beth, that's a great question. That's probably the number one question we get in our course. And that's what I was sharing. That woman, Tanya is her name. Well, they all have it. It's again, we have to get through some of our previous beliefs, right? So Beth, what are some of your beliefs about your long-term legacy clients that if you increase the fees, they're going to leave you? Or they're second and third generations of families that I've been working with for 20 years, and I just can't do that for them. Mm-hmm. What are your beliefs around it? And that is the first thing that you have to get through, because until you can break and see the change in that belief, you can't do anything moving forward that Denise and I could teach you. You wouldn't believe it. It wouldn't sink in. You would reflect, it would be like two magnets with the wrong ends repelling each other, where we need the two ends to stick. So you can say, okay, I'm going to trust Denise and Michelle on this one. And I know that I'm not going to lose everyone, and all my legacy clients aren't going to hate me and underappreciate me. Where really the approach that we take, we had one of our gentlemen, Kevin. I don't know, Denise, if you have the comments from him, from his clients, but he emailed it to us like, thank you so much. You're like my God. I would never leave you. You deserve it. Like, those are the things that we see, Beth. But for us to really help, I think it's really good for you to share with us what are some of the beliefs that you currently have around damaging long-term loyal relationships. And I'm sure everyone here has the same. It's just they haven't put in the chat box yet.
Yeah. And, honestly, it's something that we did here at TaxProMarketer for the first time 2 years ago, a little less than 2 years ago. And I've been preaching this stuff forever.
Yeah.
And just in transparency, like I was a little bit concerned about what it would be like to like, for the first time ever, raise our fees, right? And we got similar kind of amazing replies from so many of our, so many of our clients, like, thank you. I can't believe you've been doing it at this rate for so long anyways.
Yeah.
Happy to support you guys, kind of thing.
So I found the one with Kevin, Beth, and I'm going to have it, Denise.
Let me read out, for the sake of the recording, what Beth's reply was.
Okay.
She said, I'm not fearful of losing those clients. I feel some loyalty to them because they've been loyal to me. A lot of them are quite a bit older, and I worry that an increase in fees might impact them on a personal level. So that's interesting. I mean, I'd be interested to know what you would say to that, Michelle. I have my own thoughts, but I mean, Beth, are you in a place where you could unmute, because we can have the conversation directly if you're willing, and if it's totally fine if you can't, because we can just talk at you. And
Beth, the ones that are older, that's typically the ones that everyone's most worried about. So you're not alone in that at all. And I can appreciate that would be your concern. So know that you're in like the right spot with that. But here's the honest thing that we found in every single client we've ever worked with, and a client being a firm owner like you, is that the older ones are actually the ones that are willing to pay the most because they have a lot of money. And when they pass, they're just going to not have, it's just going to go on to the other generations, and they rather support you and pay you because you'll make sure that their finances are in line until, you know, their last day here on earth. It's just that we're really terrified that, you know, you might give them a heart attack or something like that. And I think it really just depends on also what is your increase going to be. I mean, I know Kevin,
and how you do it,
what you say. There's a whole process that we take our clients through this process. Everything that we do is succinct and you know, how you can raise fees not only on your compliance work, but on your monthly services and your consulting type engagements, all of that. But I'm going to guess your older clients are your basic 1040 client. And if they're paying you, I don't know what you're charging right now, but we typically do recommend a 300 to 400% increase. That's what we see across the board on all of our clients.
300 to 400% increase.
Yes.
So like if you're charging them if you're charging them $500 for the 1040, for the sake of argument. So
then you'll be at right 1,500
to 2,000.
Correct. Yeah. But we have a bunch of people, even Kevin, when Denise posts what he shared on this exact topic of the increased letters that he sent, he now charges, he didn't go that high, but we have most people that are a minimum 1040 is $995 minimum.
So John Walters, my old friend, and, has been on here for a while. You might know John, Michelle, but he's been connected to Dominique in the past.
Oh, cool.
I liked what he said. He said, what about that loyal gas station that you've used for years? Did they just keep the price the same for you, or did they raise prices to keep up with
right. Or I mean, and here's my analogy that I love. It's about planes, right? Like when you go to buy a plane ticket, what you paid this year is never what you paid last year. And Beth and John, you know, everybody, what about the clients that don't get you any of their materials until March 25th? And they're like, oh, can you do my return for me? Oh, can you file an extension? And you still have to go through the full cycle, which I've learned is pretty much doing the whole return anyway. Right. And you do it for the same price. And you will.
Sorry, Beth, can you try to say something? Hop in.
Hi, guys.
Okay, good. We got her.
Cool.
Carry on, Michelle.
Hi, Tex, for the old folks here.
Yeah, no worries. So, Beth, what is your belief about the old folks and impacting them on a personal level? I'd love to know what that means.
Sure. So the ones I'm referring to for the most part are actually retired pastors. I do a lot of those, and they are not a simple 1040. We've got housing exclusion and all that fun stuff. I actually took them on as an entire book, probably 15 years ago. And, the last thing I want to do is jack them up to where the same rate I charge everyone else, which would easily be twice what they pay now.
And why is that for you?
I'm a softie.
A softie?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to leave. I'm not afraid of that. And if they do, I would only be afraid of what somebody else might do to their return. Okay,
there you go. You said the magic thing. So share with me what someone else would do to their returns if they left you.
Oh my, the number of people I know that have no idea what to do with housing exclusion on retirement income is astounding. So,
okay. So you sound like I'm just going to call you a housing expert so I don't screw up the terminology. Okay.
Okay.
A housing expert. Is that what you would consider yourself for these older folks?
Let's talk about the Mance allowance, the housing exclusion thing for pastors, which is
right. So my point though, is that that's a specialty. So if you were to go get LASIK and you were 80 or 90 years old, do you think they're going to go to the person that's going to charge $50 an eye or $2,000 to $3,000 an eye?
Sure, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not saying I'm not worth the increase in fee, or I wouldn't charge the new people that same fee. I'm just saying how would you approach that with some of these people that I've had for?
I think, Beth, is the question. What would you need to believe in order for you to charge the double that you know you're worth, and also understand that if they get the work done somewhere else, most homeowners aren't experts in this area like you. So what's a new belief you need to have for yourself? That I'm not screwing them over. Like I said, I mean, these guys are on a fixed income. I just don't want to hurt them. I didn't mean to start a whole big thing. It was just
no, it's good. I let me use a scripture verse for you, Beth. A workman is worth his wages.
Sure.
And
sure.
You know, like you are worth the market rate, not just the benevolence rate. Now, if you want to do it as a benevolence thing, then go whole hog and just do it for free.
Right.
Call it pro bono.
You have to separate the two. Exactly, Nate. Yes. So you either need to choose, Beth, I am going to charge the premium because I'm the expert in this. And what will their alternative cost if they have someone else do this work for them, if they leave you? Right. What is that going to cost them in mistakes, penalties, interest, letters from the IRS because of the mistakes if they go somewhere else?
Overpayment of taxes. What is the total cost that could happen?
Sure. I get that. I guess what I was asking is what is your approach? How to start that with these folks.
What I would recommend, Beth, because I think I don't want to shut down this line of conversation. Beth,
I would love to. Can I plug myself real quick? I'd love to help you because we're getting through some of the beliefs right now. And until we get through this part, I can't help you on the how to do it part.
Sure,
the logical stuff. We have to get through the emotional department first before we can get into the logical how to do it. Because once the how to do it, no problem. I got you on that. But first you have to, from an emotional standpoint, be like, okay, I have a new belief that I'm going to try on. And then my next question was going to be to you, like, when was there a time where you thought you were ripping someone else off before? Because there's something that happened before where you thought you weren't, doing the right thing. And this is coming up again with these guys. So we have to get through that first. But you should book a call at theabundantcall.com to talk to me and Denise, one of us.
I'm going to put that in there. Yeah. And she will do that. And you can go through these you can be a lot more transparent, maybe, Beth. Is theabundantcall.com. Is that what it is?
Theabundantcall.com.
Okay. Well, Christian just posted it too.
Oh.
Great. So,
but Beth, this is a totally normal thing we get to work through on a weekly, daily basis at the Abundant Accountant. And there is a way on how to do it. And one of the ways is going to be like Nate. Like I have a gentleman, I think it was even Kevin. Denise posted it in the thing. Denise, can you post everything from that email? What his client said, how many letters he sent? Like I sent you a whole bunch of stuff on that. But he even said there's 10 clients he's chosen to do free work for. There's just this segment that he is going to literally do pro bono work. And I do pro bono work once a week and I volunteer, Beth, on the suicide hotline. I say that's my Tuesday. So if it's like, Beth, you're going to choose Friday is to do these old folks pasture returns or whatever, or on an annual basis, you have to decipher where you're going to draw the line.
Beth, this is awesome. Don't worry about
Yeah, you're not hijacking it. This is helping everyone else, I'm sure.
We invited this, and you are just speaking out some of the same things that not most, but a lot of people also think. I do want to kind of address some of these other questions that came in already that I think are really getting into some of the practicals.
And I am so happy to be here with you today.
I was looking at the link. I don't know how to stop
Are you playing your own video?
I don't know what's happening. I clicked on the link and now I can't. I have to force.
Just close that link. Yeah. All right.
I know.
Okay. So Edwin, so I want to go back to the 300 to 400% thing because that got my attention because that's not the approach that we used when we did this to our kind of long-standing legacy clients. And so sell me on that. I'm not anticipating that we're going to do that. But sell these folks about that because that's quite a pop from, $500 a month or $500 for the return to $2,000 to the return.
Okay. Well, we talked about the things that you shouldn't do on how to price, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question for you on, and again, a lot of this, Nate, is like longer conversations. So, but just a rough level. And this was Edwin, right? Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Hey, Edwin, you want to go virtual? I think you should. The pandemic was a great excuse on that one. So that should be an easy fix. Some clients might feel they're paying more for less. How do you deal with the questions concerned? Okay. So I think first of all, you want to think about how many, on a scale 1 to 10, how many clients are compliant with you in giving you their, paperwork. They get you all their paperwork for tax time, on time, beautifully organized. It is top notch.
So basically, this is what we did in our firm this past year. We had TaxDome last year, 2020, and we really pushed it hard 2021. Yeah. I'd say a strong percentage of our clients did adhere to it. I did have some people that were resistant, but I'm going to be honest. Last week, actually, I sent an email to Christian and we started meeting with people in person. I really dreaded it. And it was a severe waste of time.
Totally. I would never meet anyone in person from today moving forward.
Yeah, we're not. I mean, look, I have to honor people that I made appointments with through tax season, but after that, that's not happening anymore. We're getting rid of that. And basically, I asked the TPM to help me rebrand that we're basically going to be all virtual, going forward. And look, I'll make exceptions for my top 1% clients, people that, are very high net worth clients. But I'm going to be honest, those people, they don't even need to do like in person because they're so busy themselves. They prefer virtual anyway. So
even local people, a lot of them are going to want to meet virtually.
Essentially with that.
Yeah. So there's a few things on price, but you have to first analyze what you're doing and how the clients are behaving. Okay. So one of the areas you want to think about when you're thinking about price and value is there's like the investment in not the money part, but getting you the documents that you need. The higher the price, the better the client you're going to get. The lower the price, the more pain in the ass they're going to be, and they're not going to get you their documents in time. They're going to call you on April 17th, Edwin. Oh my God, I have this one last thing I forgot to give to you. And you're going to have to open their file and redo stuff. The higher the price, that will never happen. Okay.
So can I just be a little case study for myself real quick on this?
Sure.
I meet virtually with I have two different accountants, one on the tax planning side, one on the kind of the regular accounting advisory side. And together I'm spending $3,000 a month on these folks. And, I actually meet with them in different rhythms, but it's all virtual mostly, except my CFO type person does come in to the office here and there. But I'm happy to spend that money. It's not at all about like the meetings per se. It's I'm purchasing from them the value that they're bringing to the table, whether it's direct ROI savings, their advice that they give me on a regular monthly basis on different entity formation, different things. Yeah. And like I've got 5 different business entities that I'm managing. And so like, I'm the interplay between them. It's a real value for me to just having somebody else that I can trust handle that for me.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to pay those fees. It's not about the meeting rhythm. It's not about like the access per se that I get to my people. It's about what they're taking off my plate and the expertise that they bring to the table.
Right. So for us, for example, Denise and I, we're not cheap. Okay. But the results we deliver are so high when it comes to revenue and your numbers. And most of the time I say we should have charged a fee plus commissions, but we don't do that. So one of the areas, Edwin, you need to think about when you're thinking about, well, how do I go up 300% is the results that you deliver for your clients. Are they accurate? Are you doing things like rushed? Are you doing things slow, thoroughly? How many letters from the IRS are they getting? Notices? Do you take care of those? There's all these different elements. But one of the ways to think about your price is based on the results that you deliver. Okay. Beth, for you, the results you deliver, you already told us that you're terrified if they leave you and go get the work done somewhere else because it might be wrong. Yeah. I know that if you go learn how to do sales and conversions from someone else, they don't know the industry. They haven't sold tax plans, bookkeeping. They haven't done any of the stuff that we've done. So have fun. And then we usually you guys come back to us because we know this niche so well. We've become an expert in a certain area. So Edwin, if you're an expert in a certain area, then yeah, you can charge 300 to 400% more than someone else. There's a story about a student.
Let me just also push you on that, Michelle. It's not even just being an expert in the area. It's not just specialist positioning. I know you agree with this.
The results is what I'm talking about.
But it's also the ancillary kind of emotional kind of needs that your clients have to have somebody in their corner that they can just trust, that they can rely upon, that part of their life is handled. I can't tell you. I mean, I'm in the tax industry for 20 years, right? And so I know the code, I know the world, I know how to do the things, but I also have 20 employees. I also have multiple entities. I have 7 freaking children. I don't have time to like do all the things that I know need to be done. It's the same value prop that a lot of you come to us from a marketing standpoint for. Like we do so much on your behalf because there's 20 people working for you, like on your Google My Business and your website and, social media and all the different things that need to be done to like establish a modern online marketing presence. Yeah. But same with you, even if you don't have 20 people working for your clients, even if it's just you, like the fact that you know your stuff and your client can just let you handle it for the right kind of client, that is everything. That's all you need. That's the only value prop you need. It's not about the meeting rhythm.
Well, I'm giving you all these different elements that go into, well, how do you go to 300?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the other one is perceived value. Perceived value is positioning. And there was a study done where they had like people taste 5 different wines, right? And one of the wines was really, really expensive. And everyone said they loved the taste of the expensive wine. Well, at the end of the day, they were all the same wine. Okay. Yeah. So perception and perceived value is so high, right? It also perception of quality at the same point. And so what I was going to share earlier is one of our students, David, shared this story about Picasso. And Picasso was at a coffee shop and he drew on a napkin for someone. And, he said, well, it's going to be $50,000. And they're like, well, you just scribbled. And he's like, well, I've spent 50 years getting the scribble down to this. So it's still $50,000. Right. So there's the time, if you've all been in business for not the startup firms, but you could have all your corporate career, right? And all your designations and all your CPE classes and everything, but you have experience behind you.
Well, and there's that old apocryphal story of the engineer guy who worked in the factory for, 30 years and knew exactly where to fix it. The factory shut down. And so they brought him in as a consultant, and they, he fixes it. They were losing millions a day because there was something's wrong. He comes in and strikes the one machine with one hammer, and gives them a bill for $1 million. And they're like, $1 million? What in tarnation? And you need to itemize your work here. And he said, okay, one hammer blow, $5, knowing where to strike, $999,995.
Yeah, I think we use the story about the plumber. The plumber comes and he, and I shared this personal story in a webinar. And actually, the plumber's here right now because all of our toilets are broken. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Lots of reasons.
So this is a timely story, okay? But last summer, the air conditioning went out, and I live in San Diego, and it got to like 90, 100 degrees. I called the AC guy, I called the plumber because it was some water leaking, and I said, "Look, I'll pay you a rush fee. I'll pay you a night fee because it's like nighttime right now. I know that there's no parts store open, so I'm banking on that they have some parts in their car." And I just kept offering all these premium upsells that they didn't even know. But they're like, "Michelle, we'll be there in 30 minutes. So the AC guy stopped by. He's like, "I need a part. I can't get it till the morning." Plumber came by. I've got something, fixed it that night. And I said, in the future, I'll always pay you a rush fee and I'll always do this. And now anytime something's broken, they always answer my call, and that's really about, we will pay a premium because I know that they can fix it in like 5 minutes versus just calling some number on Yelp and hoping that they'll figure it out. Because I will pay for someone that knows exactly what to look for when water's shooting out and there's no air coming out of the air conditioning vent.
Okay, Michelle, Edwin has a great follow-up. That's awesome. Sorry, I just want to keep it tight because I know there's a lot of great questions that are coming up with this. He has a great follow-up. I'll sort of summarize. The 300 to 400%, is that something that you advise people to do every year, or is that's the first start and then they get into a different rhythm moving forward?
Yeah, it's the first start, and then we do a different rhythm based on, what you want. I mean, we have one woman, Jeannie. She did everything we've done. And now she's like, "I love doing consulting work, Michelle." And now she's selling her 1040 practice. So she's taking a percent of her clients and actually getting rid of them 100% at a very good price. Because now we've raised them. They're now compliant with getting things on time. They know all the deadlines. And now she's selling that portion of the business. So for each person who's the firm owner, Edwin, I don't know where you went, but you should also go to theabundantcall.com and book a phone call with us because we would love to help you get out of this rut. But I see you raise your fees 50 to 75%, which is great. And you only lost about 2 needy clients. So when I see that, it's you didn't go far enough. You didn't stretch your rubber band far enough. And this, Beth, proves to the point that none of your old people are going to leave you.
Yep.
Huh?
Are you just killing yourself, Edmund? Like, you're just so.
I'm still snowed. As Christian told me, I'm still snowed. Like, I'm still snowed. I raised my prices that much.
Yep.
Some of them definitely should have been more. And look, they are going to be more going forward.
If you would have done 300%, you would have been just fine.
Yeah.
It's just in how you communicate it, Edwin, and there's a whole process. We work with clients almost for an 8-week period. It's not like this is like something you can just fix. Again, I could tell you the how, but if we don't get through the emotional mind stuff that's going on, I'm like, here, what did you say in the chat box? Can be done. I don't find it realistic 300% can be done annually. That's a belief that Edwin has. Until we dissect that and get through that part, we can't get into the how do you do it part.
Now, there is, the basic supply curve, pricing curve, there is a reality. Like, you can't push it,
There is, but the cool thing is if you want to still be a commodity, then you can continue to price the way you've been doing. Or if you want to have a different perception and be seen as the expert and the value proposition and that you're a service provider and it's based on the result that you deliver, that's the change.
Now, talk about there's a lot of flack that people have gotten over the last decade.
A lot of what?
As a lot of flack that like people like you and Dominique and others who advocate for value pricing.
Yeah.
So there's obviously debate. So when you speak to people in let's move it outside of the psychology. Let's just talk in the sort of like the industry kind of like argumentation that happens. And maybe it is at the realm of psychology, but what do you say to kind of the old green shades accounting people who kind of are allergic to the value pricing model?
Allergic to it? To an accounting firm owner?
Yeah.
It takes a lot. We have to go through the beliefs that you have, right? So that's a big part of it in the first couple weeks of when we work together, because we believe that the lifetime value of the problems that they have, Edwin and Beth, because Beth already, she came out the gate and said, well, I'm scared if they go somewhere else. That's beautiful. That's where we know that then we can turn up the dial on the value, because her being terrified and fearful of what they're going to get from someone who's not so good at this and the extra tax and the overtax they're going to pay. That's the part that will shift and show Beth, okay, well, if this problem is not fixed, then they're going to be in deep waters.
Edwin,
that's where the pendulum swings.
Follow-up thoughts from you, Edwin. I don't want to, I derailed you from the conversation, so I'm sorry.
Because I believe that your prices need to not only inspire you as the firm owner, where Edwin only lost 2 clients and he probably wanted to get rid of a few more. See, I always know the answer. The problem is we're terrified that we're going to lose all our clients. If we raise our prices by 300 or 400%, they're going to send us nasty emails. You name it, I've heard it all. And are you going to get some of those? Yeah, but if you're prepared on how to handle them, then it's not so bad. And then, Edwin, you get to see who values and appreciates you versus who is just hiring you based on your price. So they just thought you were, a latte from Starbucks. That's how they were comparing you.
Well, look, most of them felt appreciative and said, hey, I understand. Like, this is how I communicate it. I don't know how you do it. Maybe you have a different method, but I wrote a well-written email and I communicated by email to all my clients. And I explained to them, this is what's going on. This is your new rate that we have determined based on your workload and determined by our cost increasing, which they have, and the IRS being the IRS. Everybody on here is in taxes. They know that the IRS is having massive problems and that's falling back to us. So we are under extreme pressure, and this is, what the new rate is. And like I said, I only lost 2 clients. I want to lose 10. And when I mean clients, I mean business clients. I mean my monthly retainer people. I value price. I've been doing that since I started my practice. So, for business clients, not for individuals, they have 1040s. That's a different story. And honestly, those always went up anyway. There's just like a minimum. And that's what I do for that. But the business clients, I'm going to be honest, maybe some people on here are 1040 only firms, but I'm obviously a mixed firm. And for me, my business clients pay my bills. That's my bread and butter. That's what makes me money the whole year. Obviously, I get a rush of 1040 clients, as most people on here do, but those are what really pays the bills. And I was hoping to lose 10 and I only lost 2, So like you said, I didn't go high enough. And I know Christian told me I didn't go high enough. That's why I'm snowed. I definitely got to keep going. That's why I'm on here, because I want to keep going with that.
Yeah. And we're here to support you. We're here to pull back the curtain and see what was the thing that stopped you. Right. So we'll find out what blocked you. We'll unclog that, kind of like the plumber's going to unclog 3 toilets here and put new ones in. You got to unclog it before you can put something new on top, because ultimately your pricing is a direct proportion to what you've invested in your education and the time and your mistakes and not charging enough and all of that, and the skill that's required to fix a problem. That is your pricing. It's not about how much the cup is, the espresso or the milk. We are a different business. So it is a different way to price.
Honestly, I don't want clients to see me like that. Like that is something that upsets me, when they see, oh, well, this guy did it for $150. I don't care. You can go to that guy. I really don't care. Like, that's not me. And that's why I'm here to get that.
This is the right time, Edwin, not just because of the inflationary pressure that is part of the news cycle right now, but it's also because of our industry. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing this. There's a lot of people in your position, Edwin, where like they are stepping into a place of power even more, because like the demographics of our industry are such that there's less and less people who are willing to treat their clients well. By necessity, that will raise pricing. So everybody should be raising prices this year. Yeah. Everybody. And
Edwin, you especially, man, like, you're a great case study on the inverse of what we talked about to begin with, which is the corporate guy that wants to launch out and is afraid to raise prices. Like, you're way past that point. Like, you're awesome. You're stacked with clients. I'll share this on your behalf just because it's both a problem and something to celebrate. Like, if you don't do this stuff over time, you get to the point where it's hard to take a 1-week vacation.
Exactly.
Like, you can't take a week off and not be glued to your computer because you're so stressed with the amount of clients you've got and that's like the thing too, is like, it's gotta be worth it. It's gotta be worth it to you. And also expanding, like getting good people in place, hiring well right now is also hard. And so that's the squeeze of, hey, if you can't just keep scaling that model and, getting more people in place to keep that pricing model and do the Amazon, right? Like do to the H&R Block, whatever. I mean, that's not you, Edwin, but I know that's how some people think. Then you have to do something like this. And you've got people that love you. That's the thing that I think is discounted, not necessarily by you specifically, Edwin, but by the person who's established, who's been doing it for a decade or 20 years, whatever. Like, you got so much trust in the bank with your folks who just are like, oh my God. And 1042, like, you've got people in the bank that are just like raving about what you do, raving about what you provide. And we could tell stories about that because you told me, but this is now where you get the payoff of that trust bank. You get to draw on that and get yourself in a place where you can actually do this for a while. Because the other side of this too is like, hey, if you don't change something, Edwin, I don't know how long you're going to do this. You might sell your book and be like, I'm freaking done with this because I'm so sick of dealing with the stress. It has to be worth it or you're going to burn out.
Yeah. And I put like what Dan Kennedy said, I love his little quote. So I put that down there too. But Edwin, you're just like, Devin, the guy I shared earlier, and I can, that's a prime example, Nate, on selling you on the idea of going up 300-400%. And this is someone who, was just starting out, completely thought I was nuts at first. Now he's like, oh, I get it. Yeah. And he doesn't need a whole lot of clients. And he is I don't know, Edwin, if you do Nate's process where you work for, 6 weeks and take the 7th week off, but implementing that right now.
So we haven't talked about that yet enough. It's funny you shared it because I'm going to start talking about it.
Yeah, because
we can tell you, we have organized our business on 2 teams, and we take a week off every 8 weeks as a company. And it's a paid week off for our part-timers as well. And we have like 2 teams that kind of make it work so that we're always, available, even during those sabbaticals, we call them. But we actually made that decision 3 or 4 years ago. We've been operating like that for almost 4 years now. And it's been a massive help in terms of our client or our team member satisfaction and their ability to stay engaged and our ability to stay engaged. And so we have a rhythm of like not burning ourselves out on client work and all the stuff that we do. Obviously, there's some differences, but I mean, our pricing enables us to be able to do that, but we're not like the most expensive, but we're also, we're a marketing agency. So we're not like a cheap marketing services provider, right? We're not just selling software that you can get for $50 a month. We have a different kind of level of service. So,
hey, actually on that point, this is kind of circling back, but like, I'm just curious, and it's a little bit of a risk. Edwin, if I hit you with a 300% increase from our stuff, would you pay it?
You know what I would say? I would say, here's my thing. This is what I was typing. Now my problem is I don't have enough help, right? I would like if I had a staff, it's right now just me and my wife. The answer to that would be yes. Right now though, I can't even like do the work. I'm literally turning down work. So like, I that's why I need.
So your pricing is the problem.
Edwin, if you're turning down work, you're missing a boat on another part, which I know we don't have to talk about. We don't have time to talk about it today, but this is the prime opportunity to start creating a wait list.
Oh, I like that. That's a good idea.
You need to book a call with us, Edwin. We can help you make a lot of money so you can pay premium to some staff person to help you and your wife. Yeah. That's the other part we teach is how you can put golden handcuffs on your team.
Right. So the idea isn't like you don't want to be the cheapest option. And you know that conceptually, Edwin, but you've got like paying people well isn't necessarily the only way to get good people.
Right.
It's definitely a way to get good people.
I paid well and I got crap. So that's my problem.
That's a topic for another call.
Well, Nate and I did a podcast on this, so make sure to subscribe to the Abundant Accountant podcast. And Nate talks about the different ways, not about money, on how to attract the best talent.
I mean, Edwin, you've interacted with my team. Would you say I've got pretty good team members?
Yeah, everybody.
I'm right here, Edwin. Be careful.
No. I genuinely mean this. Everybody I've dealt with your staff, A1. Everybody's been amazing. So seriously, not to say that.
I also want you to know, like, we don't pay top of market. I mean, like salaries, but we pay our people well. There's a whole lot more to attracting and retaining great team members than just what you pay them.
Culture piece.
It is important. Things. It is important to pay them the right, rate, but there's so much more to it. And I'm not saying you didn't nail those things. Some of it, I've been very fortunate with the kind of people that I've found, but some of that's also like by design with what we've created here. And I do have like a list of people that want to come work here that,
a wait list.
Yeah. That like, if I picked up the call, I picked up the phone, we have people. So we are not dealing with the great resignation pressure that a lot of people are.
I need training on that. So if you have training on that, help me.
Listen to the podcast I
will talk to you.
Yeah, we talked about this, Edwin, on like a 45-minute or an hour podcast. So it's going to come out soon. So just make sure to subscribe. You'll get the notifications on that too.
Well, and Edwin, I'll plug for Nate a little bit, like training on culture, training on values. That is something that we might be doing this year. And you're not the only one that needs it, because you do need to get more people, but you can't do because I know the stories of the guys you hired and the gals you hired and how it kind of flopped. And like, you got to have something else in place on this next round. And we'll definitely be putting out some content like the podcast we already did, but there will probably be more on that front as we move throughout the year.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, because there's a whole onboarding process to bringing in a team member that has to be thought through. That is not easy, but we've been doing this for 15 years, and it's like we've messed it up a lot. And we've been in the place where there were only like 3 or 4 of us, and we were all wearing many hats. And it does take time. It's not something that you can just like fix overnight. And so I don't want to offer some like false hope of like just do my simple system, and you're gonna like have
everyone will be in Maui.
Yeah. It does take some time, but there's some very clear things that you can put into place that will help for sure.
Yeah. And Jennifer, you posted a podcast Nate and I did, but the one he's talking about, the staffing hasn't gone live yet. So that's a different one. But this was a great one about the marketing and the Google My Business and some things that you probably have already learned from Nate. So it might be a great refresher. But we did another one on the taking the week off every 8 weeks and what to do with your staff. And, you know, like Edwin said,
I'm excited to talk more about that stuff in the marketplace.
Yeah.
It just doesn't always like land with my, give me some darn leads, dude, crowd.
Yeah.
But I think that's more of what we're going to be talking about this year more.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really important thing in the industry. I think staffing is, it's a huge burning need for a lot of people. Well, Michelle, we've already kind of hit up against an hour. Let's, Denise, if you could put the link for people to book the call again. I thought it was theabundantcall.com.
Yeah.
Is that right? So I put that in there. I just want to know, like, let me pause.
What did everyone learn today?
Yeah, well, let me pause the recording and like off, because I did promise that. Do you have like 10 or 15 more minutes, Michelle, that you could offer?
Sure.
It's okay if you say no. You can say no.
Anything for you, Nate.
Okay, I'm gonna pause the recording, and we're gonna do a little bit more coaching with some folks, and we can be a little more transparent that way. Okay.
And what we're gonna cover on the call, I put in the chat box.
Okay.
So we'll talk about where you're at, what's keeping you stuck, where you want to go, and what the next steps are going to be. And
if you're listening to this in a recording, it's theabundantcall.com is to get some time with Michelle. And I am committing now that I will do a full-on webinar with our entire list sometime this summer with you, Michelle, around these topics. I've already told you I would, but this is an awesome topic.
Thank you all so much for joining Nate and I on this conversation of pricing and charging what you're worth and charging premium fees or increasing your fees and charging higher fees to your current clients and also to new clients who might be coming in so you can finally get paid your worth and have that confidence to start firing clients who suck the life and energy out of you or maybe who just no longer serve you. And you know how you can do this without any fear, guilt, or anxiety of will your clients stick around or will they leave you or where that next client would come from. So if you want our support on how to implement these ideas, my team and I have set aside the next 48 hours to speak to you personally about how you can apply and implement this in your firm today. So head on over to theabundantcall.com to book your call. Pick the first time you see. Spots are limited. And myself and my teammate look forward to speaking with some of you soon. Once again, theabundantcall.com.